Okay, so welcome back to Build a Profitable Online Business. In this session, rather than do a summary of what we've covered, we're actually going to review a lot of the key material that we've covered over these, this is session 20, so we've got 19 previous sessions. And after a while, of course, it can all get very confusing and foggy. There's just so much information. So in this session, and following up in the next session on Thursday, we're going to start tying things together and look at how we can use this information and deploy it to actually get going from scratch with an online business. Now, obviously, I know that everyone's at a different level. Some people are completely at scratch at the moment. Other people are already up and running. Everyone's at a different stage. But this is the easiest way to explain it. Again, this whole course, as we said right from the start, is from first principles. So it makes sense to do it from scratch. Now, before we get onto that, there is an announcement that I would like to make. So brace yourselves for this announcement, and we'll switch over. Let's have a look here. So we'll switch over to, here we go, the presentation now. And here's the announcement. This is the last week of Build a Profitable Online Business. Now, let me give you some reasoning for that. When we started out, really, it was almost a knee jerk from me, because we had all the coronavirus stuff. We were going into lockdown, and I thought, you know what can I do? Everyone's stuck at home. What can I do that, people would enjoy, that find useful, and so on. And as I explained all that right at the beginning. And the scope of the course, I was trying to find a pretty clear scope for anything I do. And for the scope for this course is from first principles and an overview of really everything, right? And some detail, some level of detail, and some practical stuff. Like, you'll remember we went on to design, have a look at Canva, for example. Actually went in and I showed you some stuff, and I really hope that helps demystify a lot of the process. But what this is not, and again we outlined this at the start, is kind of in depth in any particular topic. So, for example, we've covered a little bit on copywriting, and I gave you some great guidelines that can get you started with that. But we're not then going to go on and do a full kind of in-depth copywriting course or a web design course, or we touched on different types of products. So we're not going to go deep into continuity or into product launches and all that kind of stuff, because otherwise we'd be here forever, and it would kind of just dilute everything, and it would just get very, very messy. We'd end up with a bloated course. So I really feel it's better to keep things tight, and I feel at this point, based on feedback as well, with the kind of questions that I've been getting through email and stuff, that this is probably towards the latter stages, really. Now, that's not to say that all of this is going to, although we'll stop the weekly sessions after this week. So this is the penultimate session, then we've got another one on Thursday, and then that will be it. There will be other stuff, and I'd like to continue bringing you content and tips and insights and so on. Now, the primary way that we're going to do that is through the Facebook group. It's completely free to join. There is an approval process, because obviously we want to keep the spammers out and the robots and everything that just want to post links and stuff. So we keep it nice and clean. But if you aren't a member, all you have to do, go in the description here on the YouTube video, click in on the link, and that will take you forward. Just click join group and you will get approved. And here's a little snapshot. I just took a couple of things. If you're already in the group, then you'll know this. But I've been doing, on Fridays, I've been doing little updates with some extra information, answering a question or giving you an insight on something else to do with online business. You can see some of those at the bottom, for example. Also, just yesterday, I don't know if we've got Tony on. He's been joining us on the Yeah, I think Tony's actually on there. I don't know if you saw this, Tony, but I responded to your question with a video. So video responses. So you can ask anything you want, and I'm going to put up some content as well, just when I feel like it. There's not any particular schedule. It'll probably be every Friday, because that's what I've been doing, but just when I've got something useful to say. I'm not the sort of person, if you've been on my list, that I just like to put stuff out there for the sake of it, or just like start chatting. It's all there for a reason, and it's because I know it works, or it's a new insight that I want to share with you. So that's all in the Facebook group. So I really hope that you'll join us there. There's really no downside, right? There's no downside. It's not going to cost you anything, right? So that's the link for that is in the description. I hope the explanation of that makes sense as well. This is episode 20. We've been doing 2 a week consistently without fail. That's 10 weeks, and we've been able to cover a huge amount of area. But really, at this point now, if we start, we'll be getting into diminishing returns, or we'll have to go deep into individual topics. And I don't think this is the best place to do that. That's where other courses and so on come into play, and coaching. So there we go. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you're on live. Is that okay with you? Just want to check that I haven't offended everyone by saying that we're going to draw this to a close, but I hope you can see the logic there. Now, while let's have a look here. So while we go on here, we will get started with this. What I'd do if I had to start from scratch. Now, a big question that I get, and I've had this for years and years and years, I don't think it'll ever stop, is this. Typically, it comes through email, and people say things like, I need to make about 5k per month in 3 months' time. Would I be able to do this working part-time? Now, they might say, oh, full-time, or it could be 10k or 3k, and it could be 5 months or 6 months or 2 months. All of those things can change, but that's the essence of the question. And they really, keep coming in, right? At least every month I'll get something like this. And the psychology behind it is really interesting, especially when you consider that most people, I would say, well, over 50% of the people who ask this type of question have actually been sort of trying, in inverted commas, to make money for sometimes years, sometimes 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe even longer. And yet their criteria for picking the road that they're going to go down now is actually whether they can make money in 3 months. It just doesn't make sense. So this is the kind of mindset that I'd really encourage you to avoid. I believe we're all tempted into asking questions like this. And I reply to everyone, and I explain what I'm about to explain to you here, which is that, of course, it's impossible for me to say to anyone what they will be able to achieve and what they can't. You just don't know that, especially over email, when you've never met the person, you don't know what they're like. Success of any kind takes tenacity, perseverance, and the ability to overcome challenges. So when I receive an email like this, I can't possibly know that those attributes of the person asking a question. So all I say, I explain that, and then I say, all I can do is tell you what is possible. And it is possible to do this. It absolutely is. And many people have done it. But whether you can do it, or someone else, or somebody on this live stream, or somebody watching later on the recording, or anyone else that we've never met can do it, well, there's no way of telling. So I never, ever make predictions about future success for anyone. I don't even do it for myself, right? All I try and do is control the inputs and then let the output look after itself. In other words, I control what I focus on what I can control, which is the amount of effort, working consistently, all the mindset stuff that we've been talking about, the strategies, the tactics, using a proven setup that I know works. All of that stuff, that's what I focus on. And then I let the results, that's the output, look after itself. So the best thing to do is to relax away from this kind of mindset and go, this is going to take as long as it takes. I'm going to focus on what I can control, and that's my efforts and my work. And if you do that, you will relax and you'll have a far, far bigger chance of any given project that you work on being really successful. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat, please, while I have a little sip of water, if that kind of makes sense, because this is the basis, this is the setup for what we're going to go through today. So let's have a look. Okay, looks good. Right. So this is what we mean. No list, no experience, no skills, no products, no JVs, pretty much nothing. All right. And obviously, like I said, people start at different levels, but this is the simplest thing to do. That's why we've picked it here. I will say this, virtually, well, not virtually all, but the vast majority, let's say, of people actually have some of these. They might have some experience, even from something that didn't work out before. That's really can be really valuable experience. They might have some level of skills. They might even have a partially created product that they've got. Okay, so most people aren't starting from scratch when they actually go into something. It's just that they feel inadequate in the areas that they might have something, and that's what kind of holds them back. But let's just assume nothing at all. So what we're going to do is just boil this down into a 3-step plan, and this ties together really all of the previous 19 episodes of this course. A nice 3-step plan, and I'm going to do this from the perspective of me and what I would do personally, but obviously everyone's different. You can use this exact same 3-step plan to and apply it to any area you like, all right, as well. It's the same process. So what's the first step? Well, it's to find our market. Now, if you've been watching along, you'll know that we covered this way back, 18 sessions ago, weeks and weeks ago, right back in number 2, finding your niche. And the bottom line there is your goal is to get a passion to profits match, meaning that you've got to have a long-term interest. That's what I mean by passion, not a fly-by-night fad. You want to have something that you'll be happy in working in 6 months, a year, 2 years. And obviously as well, it's got to be profitable. There are many areas online which people are greatly interested in, but it's very difficult to make money. Usually because people are just searching for free information online. And they might be looking for Wikipedia articles, for example. They're not really buyers. So those, if you want to make, that's fine to go into as long as you go in with your eyes wide open. If you actually want to make money, then obviously we need this passion to profits match. So what would it be? What would it be for me? Well, it's a long time ago, but if you did watch that session, you can go back and watch it on the resource page, of course, link in the description. You will have seen me share a screenshot where I wrote out a brainstorm list of my topics, my passions. And I have a number to choose from. But really, I think if I started from scratch, what I would go into is some form of personal development or self-improvement related to business success and entrepreneurship. And the reason for that is that I'm really passionate, have a long-term interest in both. I love all the mindset stuff. That's why in every session in this course, we've been doing that mindset stuff, right? Which is the foundation. So I've been sharing that with you, but then also the actual business side of it as well is fascinating, and all the systems and tactics and strategies and everything. So to combine those, but from a personal development perspective, would be fantastic. So there we go. That's step one. We can move to step two, and that's really drilling down into the market to find our desires. Now, if you remember, this was in session 4, how to pinpoint your prospects' desires. Again, on the resource page, link in the description, you can go back and you can watch all of these. It's completely open access, so please do that. And then what this is about really is finding out what they want. And we made the distinction between what people want and what they need. If you know something about a subject, and this is what I call the expert's error, we talk about this a lot in my coaching group. People who know a lot about a subject, their mind, the way of thinking, it's completely natural, is to look at somebody who wants to be successful and go, oh, what they need is A, B, C, right? That is the formula for success, probably, right? Those are the things they need, but often it's not what they want. So if you're offering what people need, they might just turn their nose up, or they're like, oh, I'm not that excited, and they won't sign up for your lead magnet. They won't click the checkout button on your sales page. So we absolutely must go for what they want, which is another way of saying we need to dial into the desire of your market. So in the previous step, what we did is find a market, and the analogy is, which lake should we fish in? There's a lot of different lakes, all right, choose a lake to fish in. That's the overall market. But then we need to know what bait to use to catch the fish, all right. So that is we're refining down now within our market. Now, how to do this? Well, we covered this. Not just in session 4, but we touched on this sort of elsewhere as well. And there's some more than this, but basically you can go and look at what's selling already. One way to do that is to look at the course platforms. And the other great thing, if you remember, was the YouTube trick. Definitely go and check that out if you can't remember that, or you don't know what I'm talking about. It's super simple. Very, very quick, and you can really get tons of top desires, the things that people really want in any market within almost seconds. Completely free. It's great. Such a great trick online. So that is step 2. Now the third step is to build IGAs. So let's do a little quiz. Who's on live who can tell me what IGAs are? Who knows what IGAs are? And I'll just check the comments here. Tom says 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Seems to be my plan. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it is that. You can describe that in a different way, but that's the same for everyone. It's not. No one's special. We all think we're special, and it's like, oh, only I get these problems, or it's, why is it only me that's 1 step forward, 2 steps forward and 1 step back? And it's not. It's everyone. And the people that you see, you could look at my business and think, oh, well, look, Rob hasn't. Look, it all looks polished, nice websites and products and all this sort of stuff. But you don't see, that's front of house. You don't see behind the scenes. You're not seeing all the stuff, because that you never get to see that. No one does. Because I only have the webcam plugged in when we're doing sessions like this. Okay. So let's have a look. Roy says a successful man is the one who will lay a solid foundation from the bricks which others have thrown at him. Wow. Okay. All right. That's some quote. Frank says, done the ultimate coach. So I'm looking at that route, even though I've learnt copy and email marketing. Yeah. Well, I'm not familiar with that specifically, Frank, but coaching, we covered that in the course. It's a brilliant system. I'm a big fan of coaching. So, Rob, your first successful product was a trading product. Let me ask you this. How many niches are you in now to make a full-time living? Yeah, it wasn't so much trade. Yeah, it was trading really, but not Forex. It was stock market. I talked about this actually in the previous sessions, how I started out and moved on into the stock market niche. But right now I'm just in one niche, all right, and that is online business. That's it. So there's not really time. I don't really recommend going into more than one area. You just got to go in with your passion and stick with that, because then you'll be happy. So what with me, I mean, don't want to reiterate the whole story that we went through before, but what happened with me was the stock market was my previous career. I'd always been interested in it since a small boy. I loved the stock market, and then so that was kind of an obvious passion to go into. But then once I was doing that and I started learning this marketing stuff, because before I thought marketing before was basically PowerPoint. Like the marketing department in the companies I've worked for, they seem to just do PowerPoint presentations or like put adverts in the paper and stuff. I didn't know there was all this online stuff and so on. So it was a whole new world, and that's what really attracted me. So little systems and funnel building and all of that. And that's where my interest, sort of my inspiration came from. And that just goes to show that you don't know what's out there, what will interest you, unless you go and explore. So getting stuck in and just doing stuff is so important, because if you just stay at home and you know, metaphorically, you're staying at home in your mind and you're not exposing yourself to these things, there could be several great areas for you, but you'll never know about them unless you kind of go around and see what you're interested in. YouTube is a brilliant way of discovering new things. My YouTube subscriptions are crazy. There's probably 25 different topics. It's that I've got in there. Everything. It's crazy. Okay. All right. So let's have a look. So we talked about income generating assets before. That's what IGAs are. All right. Income generating assets. And there are several sessions that we went through where we covered this. Everything from lead magnets, which you give away for free, to continuity and nano products and courses, affiliate marketing as well, because when you create an affiliate marketing offer set up, then you've created the ability, you created an asset which can generate you income. And the emphasis on all of these is to do it long term, on an evergreen basis. So that way the effort that you put in will last for a long time, rather than being a short-term kind of project, which you then have to repeat and reinvent everything from scratch. So this is where people get stuck, because they think, I can't create products, I don't know what to do, I'm not quite there yet, I think I'll start with affiliate marketing. Well, we covered this as well. The dangers of that approach, just going down pure affiliate marketing, is not it's a deceptive path. It really is. So there's a session number 3 where if you don't feel like an expert, which is everyone, no one feels like an expert, then this is how you think about it. And this is the structure by which you can elevate your business starting from scratch. We're not going to cover that now, but it was based on this concept here. I built this triangle, this pyramid, to explain it. And the concept is called bootstrapping success, bootstrapping your success. It's really, really important. Once you've got hold of that mentally, it opens so many doors for you and really boosts your confidence. So the next thing is to look at the funnel. So very simply, what we could do is this. We could go from free lead magnet to paid products to some affiliate marketing, which we could do by email. All right, so absolutely nothing fancy. You can embellish this with all sorts of things and make it much more complicated. And over time, it will evolve into something that's more complicated. But really, basically, it's something. The core idea is just that. All right, and you could change things around, but really, what we're talking about is a free lead magnet and a paid product first of all. So what do we tackle first? Well, remember, this session's about, I'm explaining what I would do personally, all right, using my example of personal development and entrepreneurship and business success. So what I would do is create my paid product first. You'll see why in a moment. And I'd call it something like Habits of the 1%. All right. So pretty low price, start low, move high. That's a good pricing strategy overall. And how would we build this? Remember, we're assuming no prior experience. So let's say you just know nothing at all. All right. Well, basically, you can go and find information. You can source the expertise you need externally. All right. And this is where, if you think about being what journalists do or book authors, this is exactly what they do before they write their book. They do a load of research. So we can put this product together with research. And if we go over to Amazon here, and very famous book called Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure you've heard of this. It's a classic. Napoleon Hill, that's it. So let's go and see this. And I think this gives you a clue here. Very famous book. But essentially, it's created by sourcing external expertise. In other words, it's done through interviewing in this case. After interviewing over 500 of the most affluent men and women of his time, he uncovered the secret to great wealth. So this is a classic example of, if you're thinking, I don't have any knowledge, I don't know anything, I can't provide any value. Well, look, this is a massively best-selling book over many, many decades. It's a product, it's an information product, and it was created through sourcing expertise externally. Now, when we went back and talked about the product creation stuff, we looked at that in more detail. So it's not just interviewing people is obviously one way you can do it, but you've got at your fingertips, at your keyboard, you've got so many other resources that you can use to create products. And it's the recipe that you create, which is your product. That's where the value is, not the raw information. Everyone's got the raw information through Google, but it's so jumbled up. It's so confusing. Some of it's out of date, some of it's bad, some of it's good. But how to sort the wheat from the chaff is very, very difficult. It takes time. That's where the value is that you're creating in your product. So you do not need to be an expert. And if you go back and look at the bootstrap method that we talked about, you'll see how these kind of techniques, if you understand them and you leverage them, that's where you can start elevating yourself up. All right, so that's fine. That's the paid product, all right? But what about the lead magnet that we could give away for free? Well, what we could do is come up with something like 60-second productivity hacks, right? Remember, this is all about personal development, business success and so on. So productivity is a great topic. And the way we can create this is by distilling down a lot of the information in our paid product. So we've got our paid product, which is bigger, and we can either take the skeleton framework of that and distill it down into a much smaller summary, if you like, something that's much easier to digest, which is 1 or 2 pages, like a cheat sheet or a checklist. Or we could take, instead of taking all of it and summarising it, we could take just some key elements of it. So maybe 1, 2, or maybe 3 different insights from our paid product and distill that down to create another product. All right, this is what I call the splinter method. The splinter method. So 60-second productivity hacks is now straightforward to create because we're just splintering off a bit from our paid product. And the advantage of doing it this way is that you actually not only leverage your time, but it means that your lead magnet is now congruent with your paid product. So if you want to put them into a funnel, you don't have to, but you can. All right, and that's what we're going to have a look at in a moment. So what we can do is have this. We can have our free lead magnet, 60-second productivity hacks, and then that's free. So people could sign up on your website. They could sign up on a squeeze page. We looked at how to build those, didn't we, in the course, if you remember. And then on the thank you page, people can then go and buy your product. Habits of the 1%. Now, well, yeah, I'll say that now. So what we could do, right, is embellish this a lot. So we could add bump offers, upsells. We could route people in different ways. We can develop out the email sequence that goes a few days after people sign up, and all sorts of stuff. That's one of the areas that there's so much money in, but it's beyond the scope of this course. All right, it's one of, like I was saying at the beginning, we'll just be here forever and it will just get so bloated. But I want to give you the basics, because that is, if you can get the basics, then all the other stuff you can learn as you go along, right? You can do additional courses, you can leverage it, get deeper understanding, and that's where you really start getting things going and the momentum gets rolling. But that stuff's no good unless you get the basics first. So that's why we really want to focus on the first principle stuff. So there's our funnel. So that's fine, okay? But what about traffic? Well, how do we get all that? Well, we could use some content marketing to link to our sign-up form, all right? We could use some Facebook ads. That's a brilliant strategy. Very, very quick cost. You need a budget, as we talked about in that session, in session 16, but it's very quick. Right, so you've got time out for other things which can be really profitable as well. You could also, another door that opens up to you in terms of traffic once you've got something like this, is affiliates and joint ventures. Remember, we talked about that in session 15. Again, all of these sessions, open access, go through to the resource page. You can just watch whatever you want. You don't have to go through in order. You can use it as a reference if you want to. And then on the affiliate marketing side, well, to build an affiliate offer would be a fantastic thing as well. So session 17, we cover that. So you can start to get a feel. This is all just components. You don't have to get overwhelmed. You don't have to think, oh, this is so big, it's like a mountain to climb. It's just one step at a time. And that is essentially the 3 steps. So, obviously, we've gone through this from my perspective. We called this, what would I do if I had to start from scratch? But those 3 steps you can apply yourself in any area at all. The starting point is just a profits to passion match. That's the key thing. And you must have that, because if you don't, if the profit's not there, obviously you won't make any money. And if the passion isn't there, you will lose momentum. And you'll wake up one day and just think, oh, I can't face this. I don't want to do it. And you'll wither away like so many people do. So this is a very usable, simple, straightforward system. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Where people trip themselves up is by overcomplicating things. And there are some complex stuff. For example, this morning I was up to my eyes in Google Tag Manager with custom events and advanced or enhanced e-commerce tracking, right, in Google Analytics, and hooking all that into my system. So those it can get little things like that can get a bit overwhelming sometimes. But those are just particular tasks. Don't be overwhelmed over the whole process. Keep the overall process just basic, simple. All you're doing is offering stuff that people want. And that's it. So what we've covered today is those 3 steps. It's not enough for success though, because what you also need is a really, really rock solid foundation. And that's why at the end of every session, up until last session, in session 19, we have, at every time we've gone through some kind of mindset or productivity hack or technique or new habit, and that is so important as well. So what we're going to do in the next session on Thursday is we're going to tie all that stuff together and make sure that, yes, you've got the strategies and you know like what to do, but then you've got the robust mindset, and you're not like most people where their mindset crumbles after a while and they end up withering away on the vine. You don't want that. You want to be rock solid and be able to power forward and enjoy the process as well, right? The happiness in this business is not at the end point with success. It's in the journey. So if you're not enjoying the journey, then that means that your mindset, you can work on your mindset and adjust things so that you are. And then that's where you get continued motivation. So that is what we're going to be covering on Thursday. So that's it for today. Please do like the video if you've liked it. All right, if you're still here live, I assume that you have, unless you've fallen asleep. But the comments look good, and thank you for attending live. Thank you for watching the recording. Don't forget, the Facebook group is really now going to be the main point of contact going forward, especially after Thursday's session. Also, you can get on my list if you're not on my list. I think a lot of people already are. All of that is on the resource page, link in the description. And with that said, we'll see you on Thursday. We'll be back then. All right. So until then, take care.